Hi, my name is Karee Price, and I decided to do my author board on the author Susan Stevens Crummels. She didn't always start out as an author. She was a math teacher for 31 years, and for 11 of those years, she worked at Fort Worth County Day School, and for 20 years, she worked at the Fort Worth Public School System. So it all started with her sister, Janet Stevens, who drew pictures for other authors, and then she realized that she could make more money if she started writing her own books. So she started out rewriting old folk tales, and she had to always ask Susan for her advice, for different tips and writing tips. So she kind of just said, you know what, it would be a lot easier if you could just write the stories and I'll illustrate them. So that's kind of how that all got started, and that happened in 1997, and they both collaborated and wrote their first book, Shoetown. And also some of her other great books that they have written together is right here. I have Help Me Mr. Mutt, which is one of her newest ones, and that short bio says, do you have people problems? Are you always in the doghouse? Don't yelp, get help. Write to Mr. Mutt, Canine Counselor. And I have not read that book yet, but I have read the rest of these books. That is The Great Fuzz Frenzy, which starts out with a tennis ball, and the dog that chases the tennis ball and it falls into the hole is actually her sister Janet's dog that's in that book. And then Platypus Lost is another cute story. This is where a grandma makes the little granddaughter a platypus clothes and doll out of grandpa's old plaid shirt. And so the little girl takes the her platypus that grandma made her everywhere. It says, Grandma makes platypus for her granddaughter from grandpa's old plaid shirt. Off they go to the park, to the market, to the lake on a trip, and it all ends the same. Platypus lost, platypus found, the story goes around and around. So that is said all through the whole book. And the little girl that is pictured in that book is actually Susan Stevens Crummel's niece. And Jackalope is another good book that's about a tricky jackrabbit. And her brother's name is Jack, and so he's the jack of all trades in this book. So it's kind of neat how she incorporates different family members into her stories and brings them to life through the characters in the books. Also, another great one from her is Cook-a-Doodle-Doo, which they won their first Bluebonnet Award as pictured right here in the Bluebonnet, Susan and her sister Janet. And The Dish Ran Away with the Spoon, and Tumbleweed Stew. So also I have this video in my hand. This is about, it's called Squirrel Sisters, and this is about their childhood as they grew up, and I have a childhood picture right here of them two as little girls. And this kind of tells how Susan was the older one. She made good grades. She was very neat and tidy, and Janet was the messy one, and she always had her room in a mess, and she couldn't stand how neat her sister kept her room, and how she always was the star in the school play, the valedictorian, different things like that. And so it's neat how you can tell how they grew up, and she explains that. And you can buy this for $30 if you go to www.susanstevenscrummel.com. And over here I have the 3 writing process where they collaborate, make their story, and they send it off to the editor, and then they get it back with all these marks on it from the little red pen, and they have to rewrite, revise, and they send it off again. So this is this step, and it has a bunch of sticky notes and different things written on it, and then they rewrite, revise, and send it off again, and then they get it back with more sticky notes. So it's not as easy as everyone thinks, where you just write a book, send it off, and it's done. So she does talk about this writing process in this movie, and then that is going to tell everyone about their new book coming out called The Little Red Pen. So that should be out pretty soon. This is Susan Stevens' Crummel. Like I said, this is her and her sister in the Bluebonnets. This is her and her sister when they were kids. Here's them again at different awards. This is her cat Tweeter and her dog Beauty. This is her Susan and her husband, and they have 3 kids. Christy and Courtney and Jason is her son, and then her granddaughter Sophie and her grandson Matthew. And down here she has her parents, which live really close to her. And then this is Susan, and this is her sister, and this is Susan's brother Jack. So that is my presentation. I hope you liked it, and have a good night.